For joining us tonight here on Arc Salt Lake, I'm Brian Schnee. Thank you for being with us here on KMYU and KJazz. It is Thursday, February 20th. We have a lot to get to tonight. We're obviously going to check in with meteorologist Sean Kelly in just a moment with your first alert forecast as the snow moves out, but also a changeup at the Salt Lake City Police Department today, who the mayor has recommended for that job, and also looking at the possibility of pay increases for state employees. First, though, Tren de Aragua has had a presence here in Utah in recent weeks. That is a Venezuelan prison gang. Earlier today, I spoke with Sergeant John Neron with the Salt Lake Metro Gang Unit about how the gang has impacted Utah's communities and ways the gang unit and other law enforcement agencies are working to keep people safe.
We saw that organization, or we believe we've seen that activity from that organization here about a year ago.
And what, as an organization, what are the characteristics most troubling to you and your team? What makes these guys part of the bad guy club, if that makes sense?
So that they're engaged and trying to promote criminal activity, where that goes from drug trafficking, human trafficking, robberies, intimidation, things of that nature.
How active are they?
So as far as like active gangs here, they're not a super active gang here in the Salt Lake County. I probably have at least 10 to 15 other criminal street gangs that are far more active than this group. So my unit is we do both proactive work, where we try to identify people who are participating in criminal activity before it becomes like an actual robbery or something to that effect. So that usually falls into like drug trafficking, firearm trafficking, could even go up to even shootings. But then we also largely, because now we're with the sheriff's office, do a supportive role for agencies who have incidents such as like you have your robberies, your shootings, your aggravated assaults, things like that. Then we will go into a supportive role to help them. So a lot of the time, simply we just go where the fire's at. Because we do, it's just like everybody else in law enforcement, we're starved of resources. We don't have enough. So we will go to where the most active and most problematic stuff is happening.
When it comes to some of these gangs, even using TDA as an example and seeing what federal law enforcement put out for their role on Sunday with one of their operations, were those, for example, some of those TDA gang members, were they already on your radar? Are these people you already knew about in our area?
I'm not familiar. I know that our federal partners have been working on addressing that issue, and I knew that they were out operating this weekend, but I don't think that we had anything specifically that like my unit was looking at their role. So I'd have to refer you to them on that.
Do you ever work with them on such operations? Do you ever collaborate with them?
We do. We collaborate with a lot of our federal partners, whether that be HSI, ATF, DEA, FBI, and everybody else in between there.
Knowing what I guess you just mentioned, there's a lot more, I guess, prominent gang activity in Utah than this specific group. Why so much focus on TDA then compared to others?
So my unit is focusing on wherever the most problematic stuff is at. So we have had our opportunities mostly in a support role. We've had a couple of agencies within the county that have had crimes that we believe had involved TDA members, and we've gone out there in a supportive role. I'd have to refer you to our federal partners to see why they are making it a priority.
In terms of just generalized gang activity here in early 2025 in Utah, has there been an uptick? Is there, in recent years, are there trends you're looking at? Is there a lot more active members here and recruitment? Like, how would you summarize for the person at home where Utah or Salt Lake County really kind of sits in the mix on a general scale of gang activity?
So Salt Lake County is probably the most active area that we have in Utah, just because of our population size for gang activity. And the larger our population becomes, the more that we have seen with that. The biggest thing that we're seeing is the youth violence. So these are people that are under 18 years of age that are involved in aggravated felonies, where that comes from robbery, aggravated where there shootings, or even homicides. We've seen a large uptick in that since I have been on the gang unit over the last 8 years.
What is it you'd like the public to know maybe specifically first, just about TDA and its presence in Utah. Like, what's part of the good message that you want to share with people so they have a better understanding about this Venezuelan prison gang and its actual presence here in the Beehive State?
So what we don't want to do is we don't want to give anybody who's involved in a criminal organization that's out there promoting criminality and violence on our streets to have a foothold and then to make themselves established out here. We don't want to give, we don't want them to be on the offense. We want them to be on the defense from being able to do that, and then not at all. So specifically with TDA, as they are, from my experience, a bit smaller here, but we want to give them any sort of foothold to where they're able to do all the crimes that I've been speaking of. And then largely to what I'd like all the members of the public to know is that our youth gang issue, the violence that's coming with it, is much larger than it has been, like say 20 years ago. There's like at least I don't have the stats just in front of me, but there's at least a 4-time spike in homicides that are done by kids who are kids to me, right? But kids who are like 17 and under, and they're out there killing other members. And you see this in the news. Like, we don't speak of the gang specifically, but typically when you're seeing homicides and shootings that are happening, not always, but if you see younger members who are getting arrested on that, those are almost always gang involved.
Now, why the uptake in recruitment? Is there any way to pinpoint kind of why the driver for a lot of these youth to get involved in this activity?
So we have older members who are thus trying to promote the gang, and they're able to get their gang to be stronger by recruiting people. And recruiting people in their 20s and 30s isn't usually very, people usually have their life together or something. They usually have some understanding of consequence, but especially our young men. We're seeing even as young as 10 to 12 years old. We're seeing them specifically target middle schools where they're trying to recruit young men to join the gang. The work that our federal partners especially are doing, that members that on my task force are doing, we're doing everything we can to keep the public to safe and to remove this criminality. It's really our areas with the least amount of income that are facing the most uptick in violence. And we're trying as hard as we can to be out there and active as much as we can to make sure that the streets where our people who don't have as many resources are still able to have a safe and decent neighborhood.
If you'd like to see our past reports on Tren de Aragua in Utah and the impacts to our communities, you can head to our website, KUTV.com. A new leader will soon take over the Salt Lake City Police Department. Earlier today, Mayor Mendenhall made the announcement to bring change to the city.
Salt Lake City is at a critical turning point for public safety. It's a place that demands new leadership. It demands leadership that can meet this moment with urgency and with a proven track record of incredible collaboration. Today, I'm naming Brian Redd as my selection for Salt Lake City's next police chief. Appointing a police chief is one of the most important decisions that a mayor makes. It shapes not only our department, but the safety, trust, and long-term well-being of this entire city. Salt Lake City's police department today is strong in both our staffing and our public safety statistics. But we are also at an inflection point, facing intensified drug cartel criminal activities and a state-level focus on the complex challenges surrounding homelessness, among other capital city challenges. The work of this capital city police department requires more collaboration with our partners in public safety, criminal justice, and social services than we have ever needed before. And mark my words, our success will be congruent with the degree to which we successfully collaborate with our needed partners.
So if confirmed in an upcoming meeting, Brian Redd would take over the top spot at the Salt Lake City Police Department after time with the state of Utah. As director of the Department of Corrections, Redd shares his experiences and what he wants to bring to the police department in Salt Lake.
To all the police officers and civilian staff within the department, I look forward to serving alongside of you. I have served with many of you over the years on everything from information sharing projects to a cold case homicide database that we worked on together. I've been on the street doing enforcement with many of you officers and working on issues surrounding homelessness, complex criminal investigations, and planning for major events. I have an immense respect for the work that you do in the capital city, and I look forward to being part of it with you. You're in the trenches every day, and we all owe you a debt of gratitude for the work you're doing. And now I look forward to serving alongside you in a direct role. I understand I will need to earn your trust over time, but I'm committed to doing my best to support you, and I'm honored to stand with you and work alongside you.
Mayor Erin Mendenhall also spoke about her outlook and expectations for the police department and improvements throughout Salt Lake City with Red's leadership.
Salt Lake City has done an incredible job. Our police officers, our HEART team, our rapid intervention team, and our community as a whole in raising the conversation in the state of Utah that homelessness is not a city issue. It is a statewide issue at least. And we've seen a pretty dramatic transformation in the accountability and the cooperation from other levels of government over the last 5 years. We are at an inflection point, and you see that, I believe, in the governor, speaker, and the president asking me to create a public safety plan that goes beyond our jurisdiction from a police department or municipal level and explicitly calls out what is broken in the other parts of the system. We have 27 actions we want you to hold us accountable to. We've now published them on our public-facing dashboard, and there's 23 actions our partners need to take. This is evidence of that inflection point of those partners saying, we need to know exactly what needs to change, and we're inviting you to call it out. And we didn't hesitate to do that. Whether or not those partners will step up and make the changes, the investments, and the continued collaboration is the next question that the leadership in our police department with Brian Redd, I believe, is going to be better at doing than we have been able to do in the past. If we don't succeed with the 27 actions we've set out to and the 23 we've asked our partners to do, we will be right back where we are now. And I said that when we launched the public safety plan. This is not an a la carte option. And I think that the work of our police officers day in and day out, whether or not it has to do with that intersection of mental health, criminal justice, and other needs, it is affected by whether or not our police department has the partnerships that it needs. We've seen it with our Project Safe Neighborhoods, with our federal collaboration since 2022. And we're seeing it now in potentially state legislation that could help us or could hinder us. And I think that the city has many examples of ways that our partnership is on the line right now.
Coming up on ARC Salt Lake, as the legislative session continues, pay increases are being talked about for some state employees. Details next. We're talking some big money tonight on Utah's Capitol Hill. Key aides to the governor and the legislative offices making more than $300,000 a year. Now, their pay has gone up exponentially, while other state workers may see a 3% increase. Brian Malahy has this exclusive story for us tonight.
At the legislature, top aides for the House, Senate, and governor make far more than the governor. From 2022 to 2024, the governor's chief of staff wages went from $243,000 to $338,000. In the same time frame, the House chief of staff pay grew $237,000 to $315,000. And for the Senate chief, it was $249,000 to $314,000.
Why are those salaries at that level? And why those increases when state employees are getting 2 to 3%?
We try to keep everyone up into what we call market. But every year, we have to adjust market, and that's what we do.
But these salaries are higher than the governor.
These are very unique positions, by the way. And when you look comparable to other states, we are not at that level.
My plan was to cap the salaries of state employees at the governor's salary or less.
Republican Gaud Maragani pitched that idea in an unsuccessful run for the legislature. He says lawmakers need to focus on teachers and state workers who rallied to keep collective bargaining rather than $300,000 plus pay for those he calls political appointees.
And what does it say to the argument that this is a conservative, fiscally responsible legislature?
It actually says that if you're politically connected, you're getting special benefits from the legislature.
Still snowing out there. Perfect person to talk about that is meteorologist Sean Kelly here with our first alert forecast, and a little bit of something. It's not a whole lot, but it's something more than we've been getting.
Yeah, I mean, here in Salt Lake City, 2.2 inches. The snow is still falling. If we get to 2.3, that will tie it for the most amount of snow that we have seen here so far this season in Salt Lake City. I think we'll get there as the snow is still falling, including up into the mountains. A live look out in the Brighton area. We have on and off light snow showers. The ski resorts picking upwards of 5 to 11 inches. You could see the reduced visibility out there as the snow is still falling in downtown Salt Lake City, hovering at a temperature right around 33 to 34 degrees, 35 in Ogden, 33 in Provo as we're drying things out. And this is what it looks like along the I-80 corridor here, where Rose Lake and moderate snow is still falling. So please be careful if you are driving this evening. We're at 30 in Heber right now, 27 in Park City, 36 in Milford, 31 in Panguitch. It's cold, but nowhere near as cold as what the middle part of the country is dealing with right now into the plains. They've got temperatures there, -10 below zero in Fargo, 2 in Omaha, 0 degrees in St. Louis and Northeast, also dealing with single-digit temperatures. We're wrapping up the storm. We've got another hour to hour and a half or so before things completely drying out, but we're starting to still see from Layton and areas on southward some light to moderate snow from Farmington, Bountiful, and yes, here in Salt Lake City, down into the Mill Creek area, into the Cottonwood Canyons. That steady snow still falling from Holiday, Sandy, and Draper. These are the areas that could maybe pick up another 1/4 of an inch of snow before this is all said and done, including the Tooele County area, which has picked up nearly 8 to 9 inches of snow. As we head through the overnight, we dry things out tomorrow morning, waking up to cloudy conditions, sunshine through the afternoon, and then a little bit cloudier to kick off the weekend on Saturday with a little bit of a weak system sliding in Sunday that could give us a few snow showers in the Cache Valley area, but really no major storms, unfortunately, on the horizon beyond the 7-day forecast even. We'll see temperatures dipping down to 20, so we're talking about everything refreezing, all that liquid that did fall and melt throughout the day today. We'll see high temperatures, though, climbing back up into the 40s tomorrow. St. George, temperatures into the 60s. Look at this spring-like weather for next week. We're into the upper 70s, and then along the Wasatch Front, we've got temperatures into the 40s and then climbing into the upper 50s as we get into early next week. It's beautiful weather for next week and sunny weather as well, middle 50s. So skiing and golfing weather, Brian.
Yeah, we get a little bit of it all here, Sean. Thank you very much. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, a mother and baby moose were seen on camera running through a dog park. Where this happened and the warning to keep your pets safe. That's next. Well, in case you're looking to buy that special gift for that someone really special in your life, the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History has acquired one of the world's rarest gemstones. Natural red diamonds are some of the rarest gems on Earth, and the Winston red diamond is exceptional even among those.
Yeah, it is one of the largest diamonds to receive the fancy red color grade. Experts believe its cut indicates it was fashioned before the mid-1900s.
All right, get this. A mother and baby moose were caught on camera this morning at Runamuck Dog Park. This is in Summit County.
Yeah, watch out. The Basin Recreation posted this video. They say as a reminder to stay alert and keep an eye on your dogs at all times.
Dogs can be a problem when you're around the moose. Have a great night. We are back tomorrow at 7. See ya.